The NBA has had its fair share of scandals, but nothing like this. A billionaire owner, a superstar who barely speaks, and nearly $50 million that may have been used to secretly buy loyalty outside the rules of the game. If this story is true, it's not just about one team. It could shake the entire foundation of the league. And the craziest part, the man at the center of it all insists he's the victim. But is Steve Balmer really the richest man alive to ever get scammed by a tree planting company? Or the richest owner who finally got caught trying to cheat the system? Let's break down everything. It all started with Pablo Torre's 7-month investigation, and what he uncovered looked like the plot of a crime drama. He found over 3,000 pages of documents and spoke with multiple former employees of a company called Aspiration. On the surface, this was supposed to be a socially responsible business, planting trees, helping the planet, offering eco-friendly financial services. But behind the scenes, Aspiration was funneling money in ways that didn't add up. Here's the bombshell. Kawhi Leonard, a player known for saying almost nothing publicly, was paid $48 million through Aspiration. And this wasn't your typical endorsement. There were no Instagram posts, no commercials, no press appearances, nothing that tied Kawhi to the company. In fact, Torre couldn't find a single shred of proof that Kawhi ever promoted them. But it gets worse. Steve Balmer, the Clippers owner, invested $50 million into Aspiration. Kawhi's company just so happened to receive $48 million from them. That's almost dollar for dollar. And the contract had a strange clause. If Kawhi stopped playing for the Clippers, the deal would be terminated immediately. Why would an independent company care about Kawhi's team status? That's not how endorsements work. That's how you funnel money while hiding it in plain sight. When the story went public, Steve Balmer rushed ESPN for an interview, and what came out of his mouth shocked everyone. Instead of a strong denial, instead of clarity, the billionaire worth over $150 billion simply said, "I got conned," over and over again. "They defrauded me. They conned me. They tricked me," Ballmer repeated. He compared it to being blindsided, like he was the innocent investor who accidentally got caught in a mess. But here's the problem. Ballmer isn't just any investor. He ran Microsoft. He's built one of the most valuable sports franchises in the world. He's a man known for his obsession with detail and his willingness to spend to win. Are we really supposed to believe he never noticed $48 million being paid to his own superstar player? Even stranger, he said he's been cooperating with the Department of Justice's investigation into Aspiration, yet in the same breath, he claimed he hasn't even seen the bankruptcy documents that list Kawhi's company as a creditor. How can you cooperate with federal investigators but be totally clueless about the key evidence? It doesn't add up. It almost felt like Ballmer was reading a script, like someone told him, "Keep saying you were conned. Repeat it enough, and people will believe you." But the more he said it, the less believable it sounded. To really understand the stakes here, you have to look back at NBA history. The last time something similar happened was in the late 1990s when Joe Smith signed a secret under-the-table deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. The league came down hard, stripping the team of 5 first-round draft picks. Now imagine that kind of punishment applied to the Clippers. They already mortgaged their future to acquire Kawhi and Paul George. They don't control their own first-round picks for the next 5 years. If the NBA came down with a similar penalty, the Clippers could be locked out of the draft until 2035. That's not just a setback, that's franchise killing. And this isn't just about circumventing the salary cap. Kawhi is already on a max contract. The allegation here is even worse, that Ballmer found a way to circumvent the max contract system itself. If that's possible, then any billionaire owner could just secretly pay their superstar whatever they want, while still keeping the books clean. The entire idea of competitive balance would collapse. But then Mark Cuban jumped into the mix. The outspoken Mavericks owner tweeted in support of Ballmer, saying he was on Team Ballmer and claiming Steve wasn't dumb enough to risk it all just to funnel money to Kawhi. The irony? While Cuban insisted Ballmer isn't that dumb, Ballmer himself was on ESPN basically admitting, "Yes, I am that dumb. I got scammed." Two billionaires contradicting each other in public. Pablo Torre clapped back at Cuban with a devastating point. Why would Aspiration pay Kawhi Leonard more than Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, and Robert Downey Jr. combined? Unless it wasn't really Aspiration's money, unless this was always meant to be a pass-through from Ballmer straight to Kawhi. Suddenly, the dumb billionaire defense didn't seem so airtight anymore. If you followed Kawhi Leonard's career, you know about Uncle Dennis. He's been a shadowy figure in Kawhi's decision-making for years, and he has a reputation for pushing boundaries. Back in 2019, when Kawhi was a free agent, there were reports that Uncle Dennis asked the Lakers and Raptors for outrageous perks: a private jet, a multi-million-dollar house, even part ownership of the franchise. Both teams said no. And then, Kawhi shocked everyone by signing with the Clippers. Fast forward, and sources revealed that when Aspiration started running out of money, Uncle Dennis personally called them demanding payments. Think about that. What family member calls a struggling company to make sure the checks keep coming for an endorsement deal? Unless it wasn't really about endorsements at all. Unless he knew this money was essential to Kawhi's deal with the Clippers. This wasn't just a shady sponsorship. It was potentially a financial pipeline to keep Kawhi happy, managed by his closest advisor. And then there's Kawhi himself. The man who barely talks even in the best of times has gone completely silent. No denial, no clarification, no public statement, nothing. That silence speaks volumes, because when lawyers tell you to shut up, it's usually because saying anything can only make things worse. Meanwhile, the rest of the league has reacted with deafening quiet. Outside of Cuban, no other owner has defended Ballmer. The Warriors, Lakers, and Suns, teams that have battled Kawhi and the Clippers, are saying nothing. And you know what that means. They're quietly celebrating. They're watching a rival potentially implode, and they don't need to say a word. And if you think the NBA wouldn't go nuclear, think again. They forced Donald Sterling to sell the Clippers just a decade ago, and that was for racist comments. If Ballmer is proven to have systematically undermined the integrity of the salary cap, the very system that holds the league together, could Adam Silver really let him stay? So what happens if the NBA finds proof? At minimum, the Clippers could lose multiple draft picks, just like the Timberwolves did. That alone could bury their franchise for a decade. But there's an even scarier possibility. If Kawhi's $48 million deal is voided, his contract with the Clippers could be canceled instantly, making him an unrestricted free agent. Think about how wild that would be. The Thunder have cap space. The Spurs have cap space. Imagine Kawhi being forced to return to San Antonio, the place he left in dramatic fashion years ago. The irony would be legendary. And then there's the nuclear option, forcing Steve Balmer to sell the Clippers. It sounds extreme, but remember, the NBA thrives on trust. If fans, players, and other owners believe billionaires can buy their way around the rules, the entire system collapses. Silver may have no choice but to make an example out of Ballmer. This is why the scandal feels so massive. It's not just about one team, or one player, or even one shady company. It's about the future of the NBA itself. The max contract system was designed to stop rich owners from outspending everyone. It's the foundation of why small market teams still have a chance. If Ballmer found a loophole, if he really used Aspiration to funnel money to Kawhi, then what's stopping other owners from doing the same? What's stopping the Knicks from creating a shell company to pay stars double their salary? What's stopping the Lakers, the Warriors, the Celtics from bending the rules behind the scenes? If this is proven true, it doesn't just punish the Clippers. It sends shockwaves through the league, because suddenly every max contract looks suspicious. Every time a star takes less money to join a team, fans will wonder, what's really happening in the background? The Clippers just opened a $2 billion arena. They've got James Harden on a massive contract, Bradley Beal on a bargain deal, Brook Lopez on the bench, and a roster stacked with talent. They were gearing up for one final push to win their first championship. But now, all of it hangs in the balance. Their superstar might have his contract voided. Their owner could be punished, fined, or even forced out. Their draft future could vanish. And all of it for $48 million. To Steve Balmer, that's pocket change. But to the NBA, it might be the difference between fairness and chaos. And the wildest part? Kawhi Leonard himself hasn't said a single word. No denial, no reassurance, just silence. Maybe he's waiting for the storm to pass, or maybe his lawyers told him that anything he says could end up as evidence. Either way, the silence is deafening. So here's the question. Is Steve Balmer really the world's richest victim, duped by a tree-planting scam? Or is he the smartest owner in the NBA who finally got caught playing a game bigger than basketball? This story isn't finished. In fact, it may just be the beginning of the NBA's biggest scandal in decades.